Hey everybody, welcome to Culinary Characters Unlocked. I'm David Page. On this episode, a chef who combined her classic French training with a love of fresh seafood and of global flavors, including the Slovakian cooking she grew up with, and recently won a Michelin star at her New Orleans restaurant, Zasu. Here's Sue Zemanick. Chef, how you doing? Thanks for joining me.
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
You won a Michelin star.
Can you believe it?
Well, I think the question is, can you believe it? What I'm reading is that some chefs kind of thought they might win, so they went to the ceremony in South Carolina, and you didn't think you were in the running at all, so you said to hell with it, and you stayed in your restaurant, and you prepared service for that night.
Well, I'm really glad that I did because we were so busy after the announcement. They really needed all hands on deck.
Literally, when the announcement, that same night?
That same night.
People started?
Yep.
Wow.
I know.
The impact of the award is, I think, incalculable.
It really is. I mean, I'm shocked by the amount of reservations that we have and how many new people are trying out the restaurant. It's been really great.
And look, running a restaurant, I don't need to tell you this, but it's a crapshoot at best.
Mm-hmm.
The margins are tiny. I read that after you won, you said business had been so slow, you were wondering, could you keep the place open?
Well, I was feeling that way the Saturday before the awards were announced. Slow summers in New Orleans are very common. As small business owners, we all prepare for that and try to save our money during the busier times. But this summer was exceptionally slow. This was exactly what we needed, and so grateful to receive the star.
What about the responsibility, the pressure that come with it? I mean, you hear stories about Michelin star chefs walking away saying, I don't want to play this game anymore. Are you worried?
I am excited to see how this is going to re-inspire not just me, but my staff and the people in New Orleans. I think it's a huge economic boost for the city to have Michelin here, but I just want to keep the star. Everyone's like, we're going to, try for 2 or 3. And I was like, I just want to keep this one and kind of see where this takes me and see what kind of creativity this inspires.
Zasu does not seem at first glance like a Michelin star place. No white tablecloths, no tasting menu. Apparently, you're in that New Orleans kind of house called a shotgun house.
Yes.
So what makes you a Michelin star restaurant?
I don't know. I guess we're going to have to ask the secret diners. No, in all honesty, I think it's the consistency and our passion that we have here. We do a traditional a la carte menu, which I think a lot of people are happy about. I know that tasting menus are fantastic and great, but
not for me. I'm not a big fan.
I'm a fan of them when I have the time and the money to go. But I think the one thing that's going to be great for a lot of people that get the opportunity to try out our restaurant is the accessibility. And my goal is to keep it the way it is and maintain the consistency and the quality of food that we're doing and just keep doing what we're doing.
I want to dive deep into what you do there, but first I want to dive into how you got there. You're not from New Orleans. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in a small town called Wilkes-Barre in northeastern Pennsylvania. It's a little coal mining town, and there weren't a lot of amazing restaurants, but my family loved to cook, and my parents loved to cook, my grandmothers. So I learned a lot from them. And just like New Orleans is, we're always talking about what our next meal is going to be. I just fell in love with cooking at a very young age. I knew when I was about 14 years old that I wanted to become a chef.
How do you know at 14?
Because I started working in kitchens and I fell in love with the camaraderie, the speed. I love multitasking, and I was a fat kid. I just love to eat.
Okay. Yeah, I was a fat kid and I love to eat, and I'm not a professional chef. I wish I could be. There's a magic it you have to have, don't you, to really cook at that level. No, I'm good at home. You come over for dinner, I'll make you a fine home-cooked meal. But talking to chefs and observing chefs, it feels to me like either you have it or you don't.
Exactly. Yes. There are different types of chefs out there too. Some are more hands-on and others have the ideas and have a great team that executes them. I think the one thing about us here is that we have all of those things. I love to prep. I love to touch all the food that comes in and goes out of the kitchen. And I think that's what helps with maintaining consistency and quality. And I just love cooking. And I hope that everyone that comes here can taste the love in the food.
Okay, so you got your first professional restaurant job at what, 15? Is it legal to hire?
Well, back then, anything. I actually started working when I was 14. I got my working papers. And so I was able to work in restaurants. I was working the line. I was learning.
At 14, they let you cook?
At 14, I was working as a coat check girl at my uncle's catering place. And then I was also scooping ice cream and making hoagies in a sub shop.
Okay. When did you hit the line and where?
I started at a restaurant called the Sabre Room, which is our only like fine dining restaurant in town. And then I went to a little kind of like a country club situation called the Westmoreland Club, where I got to work with a little bit more higher end products, lying to the chef, telling him I know how to break down a beef tenderloin and then just butchering it, like literally butchering it. That's when I realized it was okay to tell people I didn't know what I was doing and that they would be willing to teach me. And so I continued on with one other job at K. Medici's, which was a Culinary Institute of America graduate chef. And to get into the culinary school that I wanted to go to, I needed to work under one of those. And when I was 16 years old, I went to the CIA to do what I call like culinary sleepaway camp, where I got to spend a week on campus cooking with all the students and the instructors there.
Culinary Institute of America in Hyde Park.
Correct. And so I ended up getting accepted into culinary school my senior year of high school and kind of messed around the senior year and just kept cooking.
It's a good senior year. Is CIA where you became a chef? When had you absorbed enough knowledge?
I was 18. I had graduated high school and then I went to the CIA 3 weeks later. You don't become a chef until you actually, I think, become an executive chef or a sous chef. Like you get a little bit of a title. I would say that I became a chef after starting out at Gautreau's, where I started as a line cook and then I moved up to a sous chef and then became the executive chef.
Gautreau's in New Orleans. We're going to get there in a second, but we haven't gotten to New Orleans yet. At CIA, is that where your fondness for seafood developed?
Yes, the CIA taught me a lot. And my mentor, his name was Corky Clark. He recently passed away a couple of years ago.
Sorry.
And it's okay, thank you. He was my seafood instructor and he made me cry. He busted my balls and he like told me everything that I was doing wrong, but he saw something in me. And after graduation, he asked me to come back and do a fellowship in the seafood and fish identification classroom. I was there for a year and a half in a refrigerated room, learning and teaching the students, like kind of learning with Corky, but also teaching and learning by teaching the students how to receive, butcher, identify, break down fish, quality control, things like that. And that's where my love for seafood came from.
Well, what is it about seafood that's preferable in your cooking to pork or beef or chicken or any of the other standard proteins?
I think you kind of nailed it right there. The thing about seafood is that it all tastes so different. Every fish tastes different. All different types of crab taste different. To me, sometimes beef tastes like beef. You put a piece of meat on someone's plate and they can be like, okay, this is beef, this is pork, this is some sort of poultry. But with fish, it could be a little bit more exciting and fun to like taste all the different flavors that you can get with freshwater fish, saltwater fish, farm raised. And there's a lot more of it. There's oysters and crab and lobster, finfish. So I love everything about the water. I'm a Pisces.
Okay, so you developed this love of fish. You've graduated from CIA. You've taught at CIA. What's the next big decision in your life?
Moving from New York to New Orleans.
And we'll be right back. Why did you choose New Orleans? Other than it's a hell of a lot of fun.
Well, that was part of the reason. But the main reason was the seafood. I started realizing when I was bringing in all the fish for the CIA that a lot of my favorite things were coming from the Gulf.
Like what?
Like American red snapper, blue crab meat, all the different types of oysters that we have here. And I was like, well, let me just kind of go where the source is.
Let me be an antagonist for just a minute. I live on the Jersey Shore. I'm a huge fan of raw oysters. Oysters out of the Gulf have never seemed to me to be as tasty as oysters from colder water. Am I wrong?
Well, things have changed a lot. There's a lot more people oyster farming down here. The style of oysters that I first ate when I moved to New Orleans are completely different than what they're cultivating right now. And I think that sometimes we get a bad rap that they need to be cooked and that they need to be deep fried.
Well, that's always been my position. So maybe I'm just behind the time.
Maybe you are.
And look, in all honesty, I just spent a few days in Charleston, did not expect great oysters there and was blown away.
They have great oysters.
Stunningly good oysters. But I interrupted you. So you saw New Orleans as the seafood mecca.
Mm-hmm.
Had you been there before?
I also love music. So I came down for a 4th of July weekend and fell in love with the city. It was so hot down here. I was sweating like you would not believe. But I remember the Essence Music Festival was happening at that time. And I could buy like fried chicken on the street and CDs, which a lot of people probably don't even know what a CD is anymore.
Yes, children, it's an old form of music delivery. Well, did you go to Rock and Bowl?
Oh, I've been to Rock and Bowl. I've been to all the favorite Tipitinas, all my favorite places.
Okay, we should explain Rock and Bowl. I was taken there years ago. If I remember correctly, it's a bowling alley, and late at night on the weekends, they play Zydeco music and people dance while they're bowling.
Exactly, because everything is about music and food and dancing and having fun in New Orleans.
Okay, so you have this vision of New Orleans. What do? Just throw all your stuff in a car and show up without a job?
No, so I was coming down here with my former partner. He was also in the culinary world and he didn't have a job, and I felt like it was important that one of us did. So my mentor had set me up with someone at Commander's Palace, which was my first job.
Nice place to start, for God's sake.
Talk about a busy restaurant.
How do you get, let me be polite. You had very little culinary experience. Were you hired basically on the say-so, on the recommendation of a mentor?
I definitely worked my way up there, but I did have a lot of experience as far as where I did my internship in restaurants that I worked at. I was just a good line cook. Some people are just like really fast and consistent, and I had great knife skills. So after my interview, I think that they just gave me a chance and I was able to kind of move my way up there pretty quickly. I was only there for a year.
You came in as a line cook.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you learn there?
That I don't want to work at a really big restaurant. Don't get me wrong. I loved working with Chef Tori McPhail, and I love all of the people that run the restaurant, T and Lally and Miss Ella. But at the end of the day, having to walk into your station and peel a case of potatoes and a case of onions and then cut them and caramelize them before you even go into service, I realized that high volume was not what I was into.
What about the food? On the one hand, the place is legendary. On the other hand, it's kind of a narrow palate, is it not?
I think now with the new chefs that have come through there, they're kind of exploring a little bit more. When I was there, yes, I think it was very New Orleans, Cajun Creole focused, which is delicious food. Everything was really well seasoned, nice amount of heat. Nothing went out of that kitchen that didn't taste good. I really learned a lot about seasoning and speed at Commander's.
Okay, so you work at Commander's for a year. Then your next step is?
Well, then I got into a little altercation with one of my coworkers at Commander's on my last day. And
as in a fist fight?
No, I just punched him in the face.
Wait, hold on. What?
Well, he was messing with me, and I told the chef at the time that, if he doesn't get away from me, I'm going to punch him in the face. And it was my last day. I'd given my proper notice, and the guy just kept saying stuff in my ear. I was punched him in the face, and then I ran into the walk-in, and then I was escorted out of the building.
Okay, it's kind of funny in the retelling, but I think it opens the door to a pretty important subject in the business. Was this harassment? Was it sexual harassment?
I don't think I would hit anybody for any other reason. But we actually have moved past that. I've seen him since then, right after the incident. We've moved past it. But yeah, probably not the most professional thing I've ever done. But
on the other hand, address the issue. I've seen you talk about it in print elsewhere. It's still tough as hell to be a woman in this male-dominated business, is it not? Is it getting better?
I think it's getting better. I think that what I'm realizing is that women have a tendency to take everything on them. So some of the struggles that I have dealt with in the past is that I feel like I'm maybe producing more and working harder than some of my male counterparts. But at the end of the day, I've worked with some of the nicest people that have been male, and I've worked with some amazing women as well. I think over time it's getting better, but I think it's always going to be like that.
Okay, so after you punched this guy in the face, what was your next move?
That's when I went to Gautreau's.
Did you already have the gig lined up?
No, I did not. But a friend of mine, Chris Lynch, who's the chef at Cafe at Chafalaya, had told me to go, that they were looking for someone. So I went there.
What is Gautreau's? I think I know New Orleans food, and in all candor, I'm unfamiliar with Gautreau's.
Gautreau's is in a residential neighborhood with no sign off of St. Charles Avenue in uptown New Orleans. It's about 70, 80-ish seats, depending if they seat the upstairs dining room. And it was primarily French-focused, fine dining, dim lighting. I would say more word of mouth and more neighborhoody as far as the clientele. You definitely need a reservation to go in there. And it was a perfect fit for me because of the French background. And I was classically French trained at the CIA.
Did you go there as a line cook?
I did. And then became the sous chef and then the chef.
You became executive chef there.
Correct.
How long were you there?
I would say from 2005 up until I had my daughter in 2016.
And is that where you won the James Beard Best Chef in the South award?
That is correct. Yes.
What were you doing? What were the dishes or the techniques or the menus that got you there?
So when I first started at Gautreau's, I felt like there was a certain type and style of food that I needed to do for the clientele and for the restaurant's reputation. But once the owner saw that I was able to kind of bring in some other flavors and inspiration from other parts of the world, he kind of gave me free reign to do whatever I want. But I always kept it within the boundaries of what people's expectations were of the food when they would go there.
One write-up about you and your time there kind of puts two disparate thoughts together. Quote, an advocate for modern American cuisine, Chef Sue made certain Gautreau's cooking respected the classic French-inspired and New Orleans flavors. Those are two different things. I mean, were you Americanizing the menu? What were you making?
To be honest with you, some of these like words that people use to describe a restaurant is the hardest thing. Even when someone tries to ask me what kind of food I serve at Zasu, it's like, I don't really know. It's things that I taste that I think would pair up together. I like to use local ingredients, but maybe put my own twist on them. So it's really hard to put a title or a descriptive word that encompasses all of the food that we do at any of these restaurants.
So why did you move on?
I had a baby. And so I wanted to stop working for the man and start working for myself and work for her so I could spend time with her.
Not a bad idea.
Which is not working out the past 2 weeks, but that's okay. She'll be fine.
So what was the process? You had to find a place, you got to find funding. How did you make this happen and how long did it take?
Well, I was looking before I got married and got pregnant, kind of like lightly looking around town because I knew I wanted to move on eventually and do my own thing. It took about 5 years of meeting with my favorite realtor. I've seen every restaurant space in New Orleans, and I was lucky enough to meet some angel investors basically that wanted to help young people that had a dream.
Were these people who knew you from eating at your restaurant?
No, I actually met them at a charity event, a very high-end charity event. And the exact words were, you know that guy and he won't give you any money? And I said, no, I've asked him 3 times. He's like, I'll give you the money. So that's how this whole place started.
How did that happen?
It's just a couple that in town that really likes to help people that, achieve their goals and do things that are pretty risky. Restaurants are very risky.
Well, see, giving to charity is a good thing.
Exactly.
We'll be right back. Okay, so now you have to find a place. You've got to come up with a concept. You have to hire a staff. How hard was that?
I have so many different pro formas and business plans for every single location that I considered. The one thing I did learn from my angels was that owning the property is the most important thing. Because if you fail, let me go back a little bit. Owning a property that already has a kitchen in it, or at least a hood or a grease trap or a liquor license, these things that are expensive and hard to put anywhere just because you found this perfect location. So after looking at a million different places, we found one that was a turnkey restaurant. Wasn't really a turnkey, it needed a complete reno, but we could buy the property, which helped everything. My angel said, if you fail, we can just find someone else, some other idiot, were his exact words, to rent the place. So that's kind of how I ended up here. That's how I ended up in Mid-City. And I'm happy to be here. I love our neighborhood. I bought a house around the corner a few years ago. My family's close by, and it's a great little neighborhood.
A lot of people don't understand what it really takes to have a successful restaurant. In cities like New York and San Francisco, restaurants are dropping like flies because of real estate rental prices going up and up and up. Okay, so you found the place. How'd you come up with the concept?
So I knew I wanted to do a seafood-driven restaurant, obviously. I came up with the concept based on the size of the kitchen, to be honest with you, and what I could execute from the space that I had. So when I was looking at other restaurants that were larger, you could do more things, maybe a lot more offerings, or do happy hours or lunch and brunch and dinner. This space only pretty much allows us to do dinner service because of the size of the kitchen, the storage, and the location.
You are very rational and pragmatic, I take it.
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay, you found a place. And by the way, let's talk about the name first. What is the meaning behind Zasu?
I knew that I wanted to have the name start with a Z because of my last name. I think the Z is a very powerful letter. I found out that Za in Slovak, because I'm Slovak, means again. And Sue is a play on my name, Sue. So it was kind of like my rebirth and my comeback, if you will, after taking some time off to be a mom. It seemed like the perfect name, and it's easy to spell. It's only 4 letters.
What were your thoughts on putting a menu together?
I wanted to make sure that my regulars from Gautreau's would be able to not see too much of a change as far as the style of food that I did and their expectations of me. I had a very, very loyal clientele, and I wanted to make sure that they would enjoy the food, but I also wanted to allow people that have never been to Gautreau's to come and try. So I wanted to be high end, but not so high end that it wasn't accessible for the neighborhood or for people to come on a regular basis.
You're clearly focused on seafood, but you also, as I understand it, wove your family's Slovakian background into the menu. How'd you do that?
Well, one of the dishes that I came up with when I was at Gautreau's was mushroom pierogi.
Ooh.
And it was actually the dish that put me on the map for food and wine. That was the dish that they came and tasted and liked.
And you won, what did you win from them?
Best New Chef 2008. And so I wanted to have a vegetarian dish on the menu. And back then, there weren't that many vegetarians. There's not as many as there are now. It's definitely not gluten-free or dairy-free or any of that. But I did a play on my grandmother's traditional potato pierogies, and I added wild mushrooms to it and served it with an onion creme fraiche instead of sour cream like my grandmother did. I just kind of like jazzed it up a little bit, if you will. It's always been on my menu. I've made many different weird versions of pierogies that my grandmother is probably rolling over in her grave.
And for anyone who doesn't know, a pierogi is basically a non-Italian ravioli. I mean, it's a stuffed pocket.
Yes.
Do you fry them? Do you boil them? What do you do with them?
We make them with the raw dough and then boil them briefly, cool them down, and then on pickup, we will drop them back in boiling water to bring them up to temp and then dry them off and pan fry them in clarified butter. But I do deep fry them too and bake them. But for what we're doing right now, that's pretty much the standard procedure that I do when making them.
According to one story I read, you, the owner and executive chef, are still making them by hand yourself?
Yes, we still use a rolling pin. And Olga, my go-to girl in the back, is probably about to start making some right now.
And the current iteration is what?
Right now, we're doing a lentil and potato stuffed pierogi with a little bit of Indian spices on the inside, some mustard seeds, also served with tomato chutney with some Indian flavors, some curry leaves, onions, garlic, and then a yogurt cilantro sauce to go with it in lieu of the creme fraiche.
So you're taking this Eastern European dish and basically transforming it into the flavors of other cultures.
Yeah. I mean, I've done crawfish once before because there's crawfish in New Orleans.
Ooh.
But there is a place in an area in Poland that does do a lentil and rice filled pierogi.
Is the lentil crunchy? Is it?
No, it's cooked down soft. And I thought of using the potatoes instead of the rice just to kind of hold up, the filling to hold up in the dough.
That sounds fantastic. I will be right there. Hold a table.
You don't have one.
Yeah, you just won a Michelin star. You're booked. What else are you doing or have you done there that is representative of your Slovakian heritage?
A lot of times I will do cabbage. We ate so much cabbage, potatoes, cabbage, onions growing up. So whenever I can, I try to incorporate some of the things that I grew up eating, whether my play on spätzle with caramelized sauerkraut. So my grandmother used to make the pierogies with caramelized sauerkraut mixed with the mashed potatoes on the inside. So instead of doing the pierogies, I will do like a spätzle with caramelized sauerkraut, using some of my Eastern European influences, just more of the ingredients and less of the actual dishes, because there weren't that many dishes that would translate to fine dining.
Eastern European food of the poor does not get the respect it should get. It's remarkably terrific.
Well, that's why some of this food is so comforting to people and nostalgic, because we're taking what people consider peasant ingredients and making them high end, where I don't think any ingredient is peasant. I think that everything has a place in the world and every culture has to eat certain things because that's what's readily available to them.
Talking about what's readily available, it's a big thing to say we source locally. Not everything great is local. Not everything local is great. What's the balance for you?
I think that that's one of the things that I've definitely done with whenever creating a menu at any restaurant that I've ever worked at, is that some things just need to come from other places. And seasons are very strange in the South, and we'll have strawberries in the winter for just a couple of weeks. If you came in from somewhere else, it'd be like, why does she have strawberries on the menu? It's like, well, because there's hothouse strawberries in Louisiana. Our Satsuma season's very short here, but you can get citrus throughout the whole year. You just have to kind of pick and choose your battles, I think. I try to get as much locally as possible, but I like bringing and stuff from other places to show people that the Alaskan king crab legs are one of my favorite things in the world. And caviar is really good.
Yeah, it is. Where do you get your caviar?
I get it from a guy named Yuri in Brooklyn. But yesterday, I actually had a lovely tasting with Altima, 5 different caviars yesterday, and they're in my refrigerator at home right now. And I can't wait to get off of work tonight to eat them. So I'm probably going to start using them because the quality was superb.
Well, how do you correctly use caviar? I mean, you go to so many restaurants and they'll put caviar on anything because it's a great upcharge. How do you use caviar properly?
I mean, my favorite way is with a potato chip and some creme fraiche. I use it on different things. And I think that's like one thing that was really interesting about my tasting yesterday, that all 5 of those caviars were completely different. And they would be used in different ways because of the way that they tasted and the salinity of it and the texture of the eggs. So some of them would be better in a warm dish with like hot potatoes and butter, and other things would be better like on a raw fish dish. Some things you just sit there and eat off the back of your hand or with a caviar spoon with nothing at all. So I think it just depends. I love using it on pasta with creme fraiche and Parmesan, but you have to put a lot of caviar on top of that one. Yeah, there's tons of ways to use it in sauces with fish.
In sauces. So do you have a dish in mind that you're going to create?
I have so many caviar dishes in mind right now, especially after being inspired with my tasting.
Give me one. Come on.
I would say the one that I'm most excited about is the angel hair pasta with some mascarpone, Parmesan, a bunch of chives, and then just a giant dollop of caviar on top that you kind of, put the caviar on top and let the diner mix in themselves if they want.
That sounds remarkable. I want to bounce around the menu with you. You sell a lot of veal sweetbreads?
We do. I love sweetbreads.
You think people know what it is? Thymus gland?
I mean, my 9-year-old daughter loves them. It's her favorite dish on the menu. She says they taste like chicken nuggets. So I think it's how you prepare it.
Well, how do you prepare it?
We poach ours with mirepoix, white wine, some chicken stock, some aromatics like peppercorns, bay leaves, thyme, and then we shock them in ice water with some of that liquid so it doesn't dilute it, and obviously a lot of salt. Then we clean the membrane of it and press it under some weight in the walk-in overnight, and then we dredge them in rice flour and toss them in a nam jim butter, which is a Thai sauce that has cilantro, chilies, fish sauce, garlic, ginger, but we turn that into a butter. And so we toss the sweetbreads in the butter.
Sounds wonderful.
It's really good.
As I said, I'm going to bounce around the menu. Where do you get your octopus? You're doing grilled baby octopus.
We get our octopus from all over the place, but mostly the Indian Ocean. It's delicious. We get the small baby ones. I know everyone has issues about octopus, about how smart they are, but these little baby ones are obviously not that smart because they're getting caught. So
good point.
We sous vide those and then we finish them on the grill. It's been on the menu since we started.
How do you keep octopus from turning into a rubber band?
Using a sous vide is the way that we found the best for us for volume and consistency, but there are all different ways. It's all about slowly cooking it and cleaning it the right way. And I feel like it needs to be cooked twice, like poached and then finished on the grill or things like that. Or you can actually purchase some really delicious product, like large octopus tentacles that are ready to go. You can slice them thin and throw a beautiful citrusy vinaigrette on them and kind of eat it that way.
What seafood are you excited about on your menu right now? I mean, presumably you're excited about anything on your menu, but...
Well, I'm excited that the prices of scallops have come down because I'm originally from the Northeast. I love scallops, so those are back on my menu.
What do you do with them?
Right now, we're serving them with some local lima beans in a cacio e pepe kind of style. So we cook the lima beans, then we finish it with pecorino romano, some cracked black pepper, some charred tomatoes, and some fresh basil.
The cacio e pepe thing has kind of taken off, hasn't it?
I think so. I'm not the biggest black pepper fan, but for some reason, it really works with this dish.
What else are you doing in seafood these days?
I just actually ordered some stone crab claws. So there's certain items that are coming in to season that are kind of short-lived, usually around the holidays. So like I mentioned, I love my Alaskan king crab legs, my stone crab claws from Florida, which are always really great for the holidays.
And those are same-day ship? They have to be, right?
All of my local fish purveyors bring them in because we're so close to like Florida and stuff like that. But the Alaskan king crab legs, those get frozen out at sea no matter what. So all I have to do is thaw them, warm them up if I want them warm, melt some butter, and put some caviar on top.
What could be awful? Where are you getting your snapper? Is that Gulf?
Local. I try to only use American red snapper. There's tons of snapper down here, but that's my favorite one.
Why?
It's the queen of all snappers. It has the best color and I do it skin on, so you get all the benefits of the crispy skin and the health benefits. And it's just the most beautiful of all the red snappers. It has the best texture. Meaty without being tough.
What about you're doing a pork Pork what? I'm looking at your menu here.
Pork belly.
Pork belly, right. How you doing that?
We cure that for 2 days and braise it. And then we press that as well for a couple of days under some weight to make the fat kind of stick to the meaty part. Then we score it and then either fry it in a pan to get the fat crispy or drop it in the deep fryer. And that's kind of a play on a chicken wing because like I said, I'm from the Northeast. I love my buffalo wings. So for that, we're serving it with celery root, blue cheese dressing, some blue cheese crumbles, some blanched celery. Instead of using like the Frank's hot sauce that I would normally use in Pennsylvania, we're using some local Crystal hot sauce that's been mounted with butter.
How is the overall dining scene in New Orleans these days? I mean, yes, it's a legendary place, but the economy is limiting tourist travel. It's also reducing the number of restaurant visits that the average consumer is making. As you mentioned earlier, you had a lousy summer. How's New Orleans culinary doing?
I think the culinary is going to make it. I think we have a lot of new restaurants, and that's one of the things that prevents people from going out multiple times or at least repeating at your restaurant because there are so many great restaurants here. I think with the film industry dying down in New Orleans, I've definitely seen a dip in my clientele just because all the people that work in movies, my husband works in the film industry, but they used to go out all the time. There's not that many things being shot down here. So the directors, the producers, the actors, the people that do locations or art directing, they're just not spending money because they don't have a job.
Where is the restaurant industry headed in America, do you think, these days? It's got so much potential and faces so many challenges.
I think that a lot of things have changed since the pandemic as far as finding really high quality people to work in the restaurant. It really kind of jaded a lot of people. And I think we're kind of waiting for that next round of young people to kind of get into cooking, not just on Instagram or on TikTok, but actually getting back into a real restaurant and wanting to make traditional old school a la carte restaurants come back. I'm hoping that people will support local restaurants and go out more, but there are so many like order your food and it gets delivered to your house and you can make a meal, follow this recipe, which is great. But I still think that people are going to eventually get sick of cooking for themselves and start coming back out again. I hope so. I go out to eat every opportunity that I have.
Got any favorites other than your place?
Well, what kind of food are you looking for? I have so many favorites. We have a great Vietnamese community in New Orleans, so I've got different restaurants for different dishes. So I love Tan Dinh, I love Pho To Bay, I love Miss Shirley's on Magazine for Chinese food. And then as far as like New Orleans stuff, I think that Frank Bryston's does really amazing food. Love Susan Spicer. And then for some of the more like newer restaurants, Turkey and the Wolf is great for a lunch. I love Mamu, Saffron, Kingsway. I can go on. There's so many great restaurants. Paladar.
I was pleasantly surprised to see Emerald's rebounding with his son picking up 2 Michelin stars. Like so many observers of the culinary scene, when I heard his 22-year-old kid was running the place, I assumed this was just dad's famous, here's a restaurant. Apparently, he's extraordinary.
He's worked with some of the best chefs in the world. He actually knows what he's doing. And I'm definitely taking him up on that offer to come in for dinner because I know it's going to be hard to get a table there as well. But I haven't had the opportunity to go just because my schedule doesn't work that well for tasting menus. It takes a long time.
Been a little busy, yeah.
Well, EJ's really talented, and I don't want people to think that he just got something handed to him. He definitely...
No, he obviously didn't. And unfairly, I would have thought that until this validation.
I just get mad at the 22-year-old part. I remember when I was 22.
Yeah, I vaguely remember it. What's the future for you? Just one restaurant? You can open another? And just is a terrible word. One fabulous restaurant? Are you going to expand it? Are you going to change the menu? You're looking to open another place? What's ahead?
I really don't know exactly what's ahead. I'm just trying to get through the first couple of weeks of this and see what kind of opportunities come up. I would love to have another place, but right now, being a mom and owning a small business is already difficult enough. So I think what's really important is for me to take care of my family and myself before branching out and doing something that might not work out. I do have ideas for other places, but like I said, New Orleans has a lot of restaurants right now. So I don't know if this is the right time to do something here. Maybe I'll do something somewhere else. But there's no better place than New Orleans, so I don't know where that place is.
Couldn't agree with you more. Chef, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. Congratulations and continued success.
Thank you. It was really nice talking to you.
Sue Zemanick on Culinary Characters Unlocked. I'm David Page. I'll see you next time. And check out the Culinary Characters Unlocked Substack.